I dream in black and light. Randall, middle-aged, sits Indian style on a dark stage with only his person illuminated in light. He is speaking into a tape recorder. Randall: I can only hope this is my last recording. It feels like I've gone through 1,000 of these tapes and I haven't listened to a single one. I guess I'm not doing this for reference. I have to get these ideas out of my head into spoken words, because that makes them real. This way they can permeate out into the universe, to be plucked up by anyone or everyone. I just like to know that I'm not crazy. If I didn't have this tape recorder, I'd just be a madman talking to myself. But if anyone is listening, I'd like to restate my assumptions here. I'm Randall, and my life is a dream. Everything about it, the car, the home, the wife, the mom and dad, none of them exist. Not really. I first realized this when all my nocturnal dreams turned lucid. I knew I was dreaming, and I could wake up on cue. Then I stopped sleeping altogether. I haven't slept in weeks, and I'm not the least bit tired. Then I started listening to the people around me. I could predict what they were going to say before they said it. I even made my neighbor disappear into a cloud of smoke. After that, I moved on to my surroundings, those little tricks of the eyes, those shadows in my peripheral. I could carry those over to my center of focus and create living projections, like people or objects. Flying through the air and stopping time was child's play. I could build a palace on the moon if I wanted. But the night I had my first real lucid dream, I was lying in bed with my eyes closed, listening to the humdrum of the waves breaking on the close cliffs of my eardrums, like the inside of a seashell. The darkness was everything but. Colors swam in the void, giving life to a pulsing sphere of energy in the center of all this chaos. Pulling endlessly to consume all form, all consciousness, so like an eye, I thought to myself, so like my eye. And I was gone. Dreams are a difficult phenomenon to define. Being a writer, I sought for a new way to comprehend my dream, to see it in a new light, but that is often near impossibility. Dreams are completely devoid of reason, which is the main faculty I utilize during the day. Yet when I go to sleep, reason is shed like a coat off my shoulders, and I am pure willpower. Anything and everything is mine. In my dream, I thought aloud. I spoke to my bedroom, in a booming voice that echoed inside my head. The words didn't seem to come out of my mouth. They came from the floor and from the walls. In retrospect, the words weren't coming from my vocal cords. These were my thoughts, without pitch or tone. Here is what I said. I want to know what my choices are. And something was there to answer my plea. The walls of my room opened up and a man joined me, arms folded. I don't remember what he looked like, only that he was young, and he had dark hair. The clothes he wore were very ordinary, much like mine. He might have been dressed in a suit, but I can't say for sure. He told me that he was going to help me without even speaking. My dreams spoke for him and took the reins for a short second. He told me that he was going to show me where I could go after I die. He knew some animals that I might consider as possible candidates. This man was my guide. He wasn't anyone I knew. Though it is random and confusing, I know what happens. Dreams are solely based on what is familiar to us. They aren't obsessed with carrying on a string of events to tell us a story we may find entertaining. Dreams are like inkblot tests of our sleep. When you glance at an inkblot, you must blurt out the first thing that comes to mind. An angel, that's a spider, a lamp. When we first begin to slip into deep sleep, our mind is a blank canvas. To start off a dream, our subconscious flicks its paintbrush and presents us a blot. Our mind then takes that splotch of paint and finds somewhere familiar to take us, and it builds from there. So for this dream, something inside me thought that the blot looked like walls, rooms, bedroom. Just like that, the setting becomes my bedroom, but what is the hook? We have an establishing shot, but where are the people? Why should we care? Everything that I associate with my bedroom, my memories and emotions, are shuffled into the back of my mind, ready candidates for what is about to take place. Invisible fingers begin to sort through all those countless numbers of cards, and they choose one. Whether the choice is random or planned, I cannot say for sure. In this dream, I don't know what card was drawn. I suppose that I meditate a lot inside my bedroom. I view it as a sort of refuge where I can collect my thoughts in peace. Here, the death card was chosen. My guide pulled me into a gray void. Suddenly I was standing on the bed of a river. There was a waterfall somewhere upstream. I couldn't see it, but I could certainly hear it. The roar was overpowering. There were buffaloes knee-deep in the river, drinking casually, their beards dripping water. It was a family. They didn't even care that they were assembling so close to a waterfall break. Any one of them could easily topple over to their deaths, but they were not afraid. Yes, this is it, I told my guide. He nodded to me and motioned for me to join them. Before I could even step 1 foot into the water, a lion pulled one of the buffaloes down in a cruel splash. It was all bleeding and hair, thrashing limbs and teeth. I couldn't look at it anymore. My guide sensed my aggravation and the scene suddenly changed. With one blink of my eye, I was in a completely different world. Now we were standing on a crop of boulders. Below us, a lion was prowling under a line of trees on its haunches. I smiled at this and shook my guide's hand. I wanted to go meet the lion, but a part of me knew everything there was to know about it. A second ago, I had hated it for killing the buffalo, but now I understood. The buffalo was the meat, the lion was the hunter, and I was fine with that. That's me, I said. Nothing hunts me. My guide frowned, and I watched the lion closely. I could tell that it was starving. It had spent the last week searching for food, and the little game that it had found had gotten away. It was dying. I could not grasp this. Never before had I seen the hunter lose. The hunted was always the first one to go. How could this be? The lion lay down in the grass and did not get up. I shook my head, and the guide looked at me questionably. Where would I like to go now? Somewhere protected, isolated. Now I was standing in snow, the terrible wind hardening my flesh. There was a small animal pen set out before me. There were goats in this cage, drinking and eating from troughs. I sensed that there was a farm nearby, and these animals were being looked after. There was a barbed wire fence that circled them from all sides, and there were collars around their necks. Now this was the life, I thought to myself. These animals were separate from the rules governing the wilderness, inside their own little community. This place, in the middle of Arctic nowhere, was the most comfortable place I had been so far. Then I was aware of an opposing danger. I watched as the goats stood upright, their long necks reaching. It came out of the white storm. It was white just like everything else. It was an upright creation, gaunt and rubbery. Its hands ended in metallic blades, 3 for each wrist. This thing came at the pen with a snarl, and sliced through the fence with its scissor-like appendages. I watched as it cornered the goats inside their safe haven and tore them apart. I was no longer aware of the white backdrop. Everything was red. Suddenly I sprang into action, and I had all the strength of Superman. I was determination, pure confidence and willpower. Knowing precisely that this was a dream, and that I could do anything, I defeated the creature, throwing it into the snow like a bundle of blankets. I turned to my guide, and he was expressionless. I nodded to him. I wasn't happy, but I accepted it all the same. Then I woke up, and I wrote it all down. This was the first dream to ever provoke that unmistakable feeling of being used. After I woke up, I felt like I had absolutely no control. I felt like I had lost my place on the planet, and more specifically, I had lost my place in nature. If I couldn't feel comfortable anywhere, where did I belong? I've come to realize that we are all out of place with nature, because nature does not care about us, and it does not give any creature any special treatment. Just because a buffalo can survive off grass does not mean it won't be killed for another lion's meal. And just because a lion can hunt down other animals for survival does not mean it is privileged with an effortless existence. In fact, there is a great chance that the lion will fail on many of its attempts for food and will starve. And even if man is to alter nature and cage his animals within his guard, nature has the ability to evolve. Like with the blade creature, and it has the ability to find its prey. The caged meal is an easy meal. Nothing is safe anywhere, not really. Nature controls us and governs us. It uses and pushes, but it never stops to pick us up and dust us off. It wouldn't even have the common courtesy to give God the floor when he speaks, or offer him a seat when he enters a room. Maybe, in a sense, I am the only privileged creature on this planet, because unlike the buffaloes, the lions, the goats, and the monsters, I am aware of how very small I am. Or maybe that makes me incredibly disadvantaged, to know that I am nothing, while still seeding for a purpose. I'm talking in circles again, but that is the curse of the writer, the thinker, the artist. To start at something beautiful will certainly bring you back to the ugly starting ground. And maybe you'll even end up with a little more material than what you started with. That's when you know you're onto something good. I've always been fascinated with the vague, unspecified images that project inside our minds like so many random slides in a show. The more I look into the complicated nature of sleep, the more these questions claw at me. Do these dreams have any significance? Are they only a composition of random thoughts and memories from the day, or are they something more? Are they windows into our souls, or into the very future? I awoke that morning from the dream and I recalled everything, every detail. The recollection flashed incomplete and out of order, but they were there, and they told a story. Usually my dreams include people I know, or they place focus on alien bodies. Other times the men and women I meet in my sleep will be composites of people I have met before. They could be someone in one moment and then be completely different the next. Sometimes that annoys me because, as a man who loves to tell stories, I believe there should be something at the start to hook you, something in the middle to reel you in, and something at the end to make you nod. There has to be something at the finish line that has you saying, okay, that makes sense. Not in a dream. I could be camping with my Uncle Hector, and then suddenly he morphs into my boss, and let's say he's wielding an axe, a crazed smile on his face. Then the remainder of the dream could involve me sprinting through the woods, everything a nauseous blur. When I chance a look over my shoulder, long behold, my boss is gone, and there is a bear on my trail. Though it is random and confusing, I know what happened. Dreams are solely based on what is familiar to us. They aren't obsessed with carrying on a string of events to tell us a story we might find entertaining. Dreams are like inkblot tests. There has to be someone operating the controls while I sleep. I'm certainly not there. I'm a shadow on the canvas, on the white space yet to be touched. When my eyes close, I become the darkness, ready to open up and let something surface around me. So let's say that while I'm in the shadow, there is a little man sitting behind his desk inside my subconscious. He's an artist. He's the one holding the paintbrush and controlling my thoughts. Usually I would have access to the filing cabinets piled up in the back of my mind, but while I'm sedated, it's the artist's chance to shine. So once he has the setting and has planted a few trees here and there, he must sprint to the back and go rifling through the manila envelope labeled woods. There he finds that I cherish a lot of memories among the trees, the earliest being a camping trip I shared with my uncle when I was only a boy. That seems plausible enough, and so far everything is making sense. So the artist plants my uncle and me into the scene. I am no longer a shadow. I have blended into the colors swirling in the darkness. I am part of the work. Now that I am present inside the picture, I can take over the artist's job. Now he can sit back and relax, and I have full control of the filing cabinets. I can now take this dream wherever I want to go and paint anything that pleases me. I begin to see the painting through my eyes, so it's not like I'm watching a home movie of the camping trip. The rules still seem to apply for sleep, so it's just like being awake. We are watching everything happen with our own eyes. And what is more familiar to us than that? I think that is why we don't realize we are dreaming half the time. We're opening our eyes, we're looking around, and in our sleep we think, well, I must be awake. How else could I be in the woods? How else could I be seeing this? But we are still not in our rational state of mind. Yet my dream self takes a whole different perspective. Here are where the random recollections of my day invade the efficiency of my dream and jam the gears. My dream self is now yanking open the filing cabinets, trying to find a new direction in which to take this camping trip. So far, there is no rising action, and there certainly isn't a climax. There are only two people sitting in the woods, looking at each other like idiots. For unknown reasons, the filing cabinet starts to rock, and the files inside shuffle and reshuffle themselves. They get mixed together, and the freshest memories get moved to the front. It's almost like there is a higher power involved in all of this, and it's demanding something new and different. So when my dream self goes for the envelope labeled woods, he sees that the real contents are now gone. But there isn't time to go looking for the bright memories. The dream is going on at that very moment. It is like a live show, where the producer is searching desperately for the actor's cue cards, but all he can find are the lines for the next segment. So he has no choice but to present the cards he has in hand and pray. The dream will go on with or without us, so our dream selves have to paint what they find. The freshest memory I had of that day, before my lucid dream, and before getting into bed, was work, and I was talking with my boss. He was telling me this story about a stupid argument he had with his neighbor about a borrowed axe. That is my last memory of the real world. But now I just want to wake up. But my fear is that there won't be anything to wake up to. What if this is it? What if I'm God? Why not? I'm the dreamer, aren't I? That means Coca-Cola, nuclear bombs, cell phones, and democracy were all products of my mind. Yet that's a little egotistical. Solipsistic. I think there's something much bigger channeling these ideas into my head. After all, that must be it. I have to shed my ego before I can truly wake up. That's why this repulsive light insists on blinding me. That can't be too hard. I have to see that I'm not at the center of the universe, and something far bigger exists outside me. It's weird, but I keep thinking of the Matrix. I'm on the verge of non-existence, and I'm stuck on this movie I once saw. I've tried to wrap my brain around it. I've tried to make sense. In the Matrix, bending a spoon with your mind is not in physically bending the spoon, but understanding that the spoon doesn't exist at all. Just like this tape recorder, it doesn't exist. I was talking to nobody but myself. He drops the recorder into the darkness. No, it can't be that simple. Nothing is. There's got to be something else, something listening. If not, my life would have ended a long time ago. I was never really alone. When a man believes he's alone, he expands until he fills up the entire universe, allowing room for nothing else. That was the greatest illusion. Even more so than the job or the car, I was never talking to myself. The universe is a great ear, tuning in and out of conversations. And now that I've deconstructed everything, besides me and it feels threatened. It doesn't want to be snuffed out of existence like everything else I know. That dream it sent me was a warning, and now I can hear the beast breathing in the darkness, its scissor claws clinking together as it approaches. The universe came to me in the guise of my guide, my higher power, but I'm not falling for it. I'm most concerned about its true form, that albino thing in the snow. That's what it becomes when it's cornered. And now the thing is squealing in pain, louder now. I can feel its rancid breath on my face. Tell it something interesting and wait for a response. Well, how about this? My boss actually lent out his axe to me, and he was upset because I never returned it. Why? Because I needed it for this moment now. And here it is in my hands, sharper and shinier than it ever was in reality. I am the lion, not the goat for slaughter. I'm the hunter. And because I'm the lion, I can see in the dark. I get it now. Turn the lights off. Turn the lights off. I get it. Turn them up. The lights switch off, and there is the sound of metal grinding together, the grunts of a man with all of his weight directed in one forward movement, and the screech of a creature and the spill of blood. The light does not switch back on right away, but the corridors of the black, empty space are suddenly filled with the soft humming of a man, building up to the crescendo formation of a new world. Fade out.